Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome into the show. Yet another episode of Crushing Fantasy Football. I am Bryce Lockridge, your host of the show. All right, guys. I have a list here of must-start players for Week 6 of the fantasy football season. And, I am going to get right into it right here for the first player on my list, and that is Gabe Davis. Now, Gabe Davis is a guy who came out last week and just lit it on fire. 3 receptions, 171 yards, 2 touchdowns. It was very exciting to see. We know that this guy, given the right matchup, can produce a tremendously high weekly ceiling for us. Obviously, if we're going to start him on a week-to-week basis, we want to see the target share go up. He's only had a 12.9% team target share. We need to see that go up before we start him every week. But look, the Chiefs are the 7th worst team against the wide receiver this year. You got to figure that this is going to be a shootout-style game. These teams are going to be going back and forth. I would not be surprised if there was over 80 points scored in this game in total. So, I love Gabe Davis in this matchup, considering how exploitable the Kansas City secondary has been and the nature of Bills-Chiefs games with their current rosters. I mean, these teams are going to be going back and forth, scoring tons of points. I love the ceiling for Gabe Davis this week. You absolutely cannot have this guy on your bench this week. He is a must-start. Next player on my list is going to be Tyler Lockett, guys. Tyler Lockett has seen 538 air yards. This is top 5 in the NFL. He has had 32 receptions on the young season. This is top 6 in the NFL. The Seahawks are operating with a ton of momentum right now. Geno Smith is seemingly unstoppable. I love Tyler Lockett going forward. And against an Arizona Cardinals team that, their defense has actually been pretty good against the pass, but you got to figure 2 good offenses going against each other. There's probably going to be quite a bit of points scored in this game. So considering the fact that this game has some serious shootout potential, I love Tyler Lockett on the week. I think he could be one of the best wide receivers in this coming week. Next player on my list is going to be George Pickens. Now, guys, I am stoked about George Pickens. This guy is going to be one of the best wide receivers in the NFL in the coming years. This guy is an Alpha X wide receiver. He is the perfect prototypical wide receiver to be able to make awesome plays downfield. The minute that Kenny Pickett came in and took over the starting quarterback role, George Pickens started to produce awesome fantasy numbers. He saw 8 targets in the first game where Kenny Pickett came and played. He saw 8 targets this past week and was able to have 80-plus receiving yards against arguably the best defense in the NFL in the Buffalo Bills. So considering the fact that, in Kenny Pickett's first NFL game with George Pickens, they were able to connect for 80-plus yards against the Buffalo Bills defense. Just imagine how good these guys are going to be together when they actually have some time to gel and when they go up against softer defenses. I think that there is a tremendous potential here with this quarterback-wide receiver connection. I love George Pickens on the season. Even though they're going up against a tough Tampa Bay defense, you got to figure they're probably going to be playing from behind, so that favors George Pickens as far as game script. He's probably going to be targeted a lot downfield because they're going to be playing catch-up the whole game. So start George Pickens with confidence. Next player on my list is going to be Christian Kirk. Now, Christian Kirk has obviously been a little bit quiet the past 2 weeks, but look, this is a guy who has 7 red zone targets. This is 11th in the NFL. Last time he played Jacksonville, he had 6 catches for 78 yards and 2 touchdowns. So considering, how good he was, last time he played Indianapolis, Last time he played Indianapolis, he had 6 catches, 78 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So considering the fact that, he's able to exploit this Indianapolis defense, we've already seen it this year. I love him on the week. I love him to have a massive bounce back this week. The Colts defense doesn't scare me whatsoever. Obviously, they look good against the Broncos, but that was very much because the Broncos were just totally out of sync. I think that Jacksonville will put a lot of points on the board, just like they did in week 2 against the Colts. Look for Christian Kirk to have a big-time bounce-back game and be an absolute must-start player this week. Next on my list, moving on to the running back position, we've got Ramondre Stevenson. Now, the Browns have been the 3rd worst team against the run this year. And, I had Ramondre Stevenson in my must-starts last week, and that was before Damian Harris got hurt. Now, Ramondre Stevenson is going to get to head this backfield. As high as Bill Belichick has been on him, it looks like he's probably going to have like an 80+% opportunity in the share in this backfield. He's going to be playing pretty much every down for the team. He's going to be a 3-down back as long as Damian Harris is out. We're talking about a guy that's top 10 in the league in rushing yards with 372 rushing yards this year, despite splitting a backfield and not getting nearly as much volume as some of the running backs that are behind him as far as overall rushing yardage. He's had 50 evaded tackles. This is 2nd in the NFL, 297 yards created all on his own. This is top 7. And he's had 5 breakaway runs, meaning runs of 15 yards or more. This is top 8 in the NFL. So if you look at all the metrics, this guy has been one of the best running backs in the entire NFL. And he's been one of the best running backs we've seen come into the league in a while as far as just tearing it up right out of the gate. We saw it last season. We saw it in the short sample this season. This guy is electric. He's going to head a backfield one day and be one of the best running backs in the NFL. And now he gets to head a backfield at least temporarily while Damian Harris is out. Up against the Cleveland defense that's helped us against the run. Give me every bit of Ramondre Stevenson this week. Next player on my list is going to be Kenneth Walker. Now, I hope that you picked up Kenneth Walker on your waiver wire, or you were smart enough to, have him on your bench before Penny went down with an injury. But, now that Penny is out, Kenneth Walker is going to handle a significant opportunity share in this backfield. Look for him to have an 80+% opportunity share. This guy has averaged 6.3 yards per carry on the small sample that we've seen this year. Now, obviously, it's a very small sample, but as far as what we had to go with, so far as a rookie, he's been extremely efficient. Okay, so I'm very confident in Kenneth Walker. He has 5.24 yards created per touch, which is, the amount of yards that you create after what the block gives you. This is second in the NFL. So he's been bouncing off defenders. He's been making people miss. He's been running through people. In the small sample size that we have, he has been a very efficient runner, and now he's going to get to head this backfield. I'm very excited for Kenneth Walker up against Arizona. The Arizona defense doesn't scare me whatsoever. I think that Kenneth Walker is going to have a massive breakout game. All right, guys. Next and final player on my list. Now, I guess it seems like I'm telling you to start everyone on the Seahawks, but this offense has been cooking. As far as the quarterback position, I think that Geno Smith is an absolute must start. Look, this is a guy who has a 106.8 true passer rating. This is first in the NFL. He has a 79.7% true completion percentage, and he has 1,300 passing yards. So he's literally leading the league in true completion percentage and true passer rating. This is a very good sign. He's seemingly throwing for multiple touchdowns like every single week. So I've been very impressed so far with what I've seen from Geno Smith, and I'm very excited to see what he can do going forward. Against the Arizona Cardinals, there should be a lot of points scored in this game back and forth. So I love anyone on the Seahawks in this game, especially Geno Smith with all the momentum that he's had. So I really like Geno Smith on the week. He is a must-start quarterback play. Now, obviously, if you have the obvious must-start quarterbacks like Lamar Jackson, Pat Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, you're obviously going to be starting these guys over Geno Smith. But the reason that I included Geno Smith on my must-starts is because he's one of those guys that's, you still might be kind of on the fence about him right now. And if you don't have one of these studs, you might play somebody like, Kirk Cousins or, somebody like that over Geno Smith. At this point, I would play Geno Smith over any of those guys. The only player that I wouldn't play Geno Smith over is one of the obvious must-start quarterbacks, those top 5 guys. So if you don't have one of those guys, Geno Smith is an absolute must-start for this week. He's going to absolutely tear it up. All right, guys, I do appreciate you tuning into my video. I appreciate your time. I'll catch you later.